What's up, YouTube? Pink Reaper here. So yeah, if you read the title of this video, I created a Paper Mario speedrun, or specifically, I created a very niche Paper Mario 64 speedrun category, I guess. I made another video about this, that short little meme video about this this stupid speedrun I created and how it works, but I figured, let's do an entire run and really explain everything that happens in it to give you a better idea of what this looks like. Because I've done this a lot. I've actually been running this game a lot. I've been running this meme category a lot because it's actually just really fun to me. I've enjoyed it quite a bit. But this is Paper Mario 64 The Thousand Year Door, or Paper Mario The Thousand Year Door 64. It is a ROM hack of Paper Mario created by L. Dexter that adds Thousand Year Door mechanics to Paper Mario 64. And one of those mechanics is badge stacking, right? The ability to take multiple badges of the same badge and equip them and increase their effect. And as you can see, I have equipped many speedy spin badges and increased their effect so much that walls don't really exist for me. They are, they're a suggestion, not a hard rule. Um, they also added, L Dexter also added the ability to play on New Game Plus. Now, when created this category, the way New Game Plus worked at the time on the current version was you got to keep your HP, FP, BP, all your badges, and the items you have in your item inventory um, exactly as they are and reset to level 1 um, and start a new game. L Dexter has since changed that in more newer versions. I don't believe you get to keep your you do get to keep your badges. I don't think you get to keep anything else, though. I don't think you get to keep your stats. That doesn't matter for me. I'm still just running on this old version that allows me to do this. Um, so as you've seen in the background here, we have started the run. We've started the prologue. There's not a lot that really need to talk about in the prologue. We skipped the Junior Troopa by using our incredible speed to clip through a fence and skip his battle trigger. But other than that, we've just sort of spun very quickly, and that's it. Um, to give you an idea of my presets here, I have a bunch of not damage dodge. What do you call it? I have close call. I have multiple close call badges equipped because I'm always in danger, and I have about like I don't even remember how many it is. It's like 14. No, not that many, but some amount of power rush badges that's putting me currently at 23 damage. Here we clip through that door to skip having to hit the switch and watch the cutscene for the bridge appearing. I used to not do that clip through that door and instead clip around a bush on the back of Goomba King's castle, and then fall directly onto the invisible bridge. Mostly because if you run into King Goomba in his castle right there, where he's still in the castle hiding after you've beaten him, it actually starts another battle. He counts as an overworld enemy, and you will have to fight him. But I've been teaching Mace from my Discord to do this run, and he showed it's actually pretty consistent to just go right past him, and it's way faster, so we just do that. Unfortunately, an unskippable cutscene here where we introduce the Koopa Brothers. It's going to get real weird if you know anything about regular Paper Mario after this. It's not going to look anything like what you've... Even if you know about Paper Mario all-card speedruns, because this is an all-card speedrun. Excuse me. I'm going to have to edit that out. This is a Paper Mario all-card speedrun. It's not going to look anything like this. So we enter Toad Town. This is the first of like 3 rooms in the entire game where you can outrun the camera. Unfortunately, I didn't quite get the loading zone as fast as I wanted to, but we're gonna immediately go do log skip. As you may have noticed, we don't have a partner yet, right? We have Goomba still following us. We skipped picking up Goombario. That's gonna be a pretty common thing. We're not gonna get every partner in the game. We're actually only gonna get 3 of them. Only 2 of them are gonna see any actual use. But we clip through the logs there. I go for one attempt at blue house skip because if you get BHS on your first try, it's just faster. Unfortunately, I have a lot of trouble clipping into this blue house even through the corner in this playthrough. This was not a great run, by the way. I'm going to be completely honest up front and early. The early parts of the run go pretty well, and like the very end of the run goes pretty well. But I play real bad somewhere around the middle. Like some bad stuff happens, but we'll talk about that when we get there. But anyway, yeah. So clip here into the blue house. Enter the pipe, without being able to see it. You have to clip through this brick wall, which is very finicky because sometimes instead of clipping into the wall, you'll clip into that little, I don't even know how to describe it, those little bricks on the floor. I end up deciding to go for a bit of a slower way to clip out of bounds because you can use that to get around the wall on the corner there. And but clipping through regularly would have been way nicer, way faster. And then the first thing we're going to do now that we've reached Toad Town is actually we're going to go get the Ultra Boots. By clipping out of bounds there, we can just get onto that pipe platform. I love that little trick. If you spin into that corner and you have just like the right angle, instead of falling out of bounds, you just clip across that gap and end up not having to deal with any of those enemies, which you're going to see why I didn't want to have to deal with any of those enemies here in a second. One of the issues with the amount of speed that I have with all of these speedy spins is like properly controlling where Mario goes. If my angle is anywhere, just even a single degree off perfectly straight, Mario will go flying off in a direction I don't want him to go to. And you will end up fighting a bunch of enemies you do not want to fight. You will also end up clipping out of bounds quite a bit when you don't want to clip out of bounds. And in fact, to answer a question that I've gotten a couple times when I've told people about this run, I want to say 15, it might be 17, I don't remember exactly the number, speedy spin badges equipped right now. Obviously, if I had more, I could go even faster, right? Like that's a question I've been asked a few times is, why don't you have more speedy spins? Wouldn't it just allow you to go faster? And the answer is that the more speedy spins you get sort of diminishing returns. You may have seen like in the prologue part of the game when I'm on just those straight paths, right? The time it takes Mario to get from one end of a room to the other is like it's frames, right? It's an incredibly small amount of time. I just want to talk about this real quick. So we fought the blooper to enter chapter 5. Then we head over here to fight the Dark Koopas that open up the pipe to chapter 3. We will not be going to either of those chapters right away. It's just this is some great sequencing for later in the run. But anyway, so it takes literally just a few frames basically to get from one end of a room to another. Adding more speedy spins would decrease that time, but the amount of time you save per room is so minuscule, it wouldn't really matter. And you end up with so much speed that, again, it becomes more likely that you will just accidentally clip out of bounds, right? You'll hit a corner, you'll hit some like edge, and Mario will fall out of bounds, and then you have to wait for Mario to fall back in bounds before you can move again, and you just lose time doing that. So it's really not worth it to have too much speed, or too much more speed, I should say. But yeah, so we open up those pipes to chapter 5 and to chapter 3, and then we head over here. As you can see, you can actually spin jump on the hammer blocks, and it will destroy them. So we just head into the warp pipe room for prologue chapter 1 and chapter 2. And that allows us basically to go right to chapter 1 without having to do any form of Black Toad skip. We don't have to talk to Merlon. We don't have to do Black Toad skip. We don't have to go down Pleasant Path or anything like that. And we get to enter directly into Koopa Village and watch this cutscene from the wrong end. This cutscene plays the first time you enter into this enter into this room during chapter 1. Unfortunately, we entered from the wrong end, so it went the wrong way there. Oh, my movement has been so bad in this so far. So here's another new thing that is different from the other video I uploaded is this is actually something Mace found. It's actually possible to clip out of bounds on this corner and fall to the other side of the, like, to fall where you need to fall. Unfortunately, I have had a lot of trouble with it. I have not been particularly good at getting this clip. And in fact, like, as far as I know, you just have to clip and hold up, and Mario should land, like, on the other side of this water. Unfortunately, I'm having a lot of trouble there. And I actually landed on the wrong side of the invisible wall on that seam, but it's very easy to get back in. But, yeah, I can't say if that's faster or slower than doing it the other way, because the other way is extremely finicky. It's very hard to, clip onto the invisible bridge because the corner that you're trying to clip on is so small. Mario tends to just clip through the wall instead of the actual corner, unfortunately. So entering into Koopa Brothers Fortress, let's talk about all cards for a second. All cards is a category for vanilla Paper Mario speedrunning, wherein you collect all of the Star Spirit cards after beating the chapter bosses. It's specifically called all cards because it's actually possible to collect the Star Spirit of Chapter 5 without getting the card, and skipping the boss. But the Council of Elders has decided that that's not good enough. You have to collect all the cards. So I will be beating every chapter boss and collecting every Star Spirit card. Shoutouts to the hardest trick in the entire game here. It's so hard I didn't even get it, as you can see. Stair skip. Like I said, I've been teaching Mace from my Discord how to do this run. He has managed to pick up loading zone storage jumps. He's not like perfect at them, mind you, but he can do them. He cannot, however, do stair skip, the easiest trick in the game. I don't know why. It's just, I don't know. What's even funnier is he can do a version of stair skip that will appear later in this run, but he just can't do it here. It's just really funny to me. Sorry, Mace. I'm calling you out. Anyway, here we have clipping into the prison to collect Bombette. She's one of the 3 partners that we get. So technically, I don't need to get Bombette. I could have gotten Goombario. The reason we need a partner here is actually just to beat the Chapter 1 boss, the Koopa Bros. They cannot be beaten without a partner, because when you reach the second phase of their fight, when you defeat Mecha Bowser or whatever, and they end up on their tower formation, you have to either hit them twice or use Bombette's bomb attack on them to knock them over. If you can't do that, they are literally invincible. They are unbeatable. So if Mario is alone in that fight, he actually can't win. Neat little clip here. We're going to clip out of bounds using this corner of fence and end up on the underwater stairs here. And then you just jump and hold up, and Mario ends up on the upper layer here. Do not spin when moving up that upper layer, by the way. Mario tends to clip through upward slopes like that. But yeah, so the Koopa Brothers are completely unbeatable without a partner. I get Bombette for this run because it's technically faster to get Goombario as a partner. Like, obviously, if I just had Goombario when I enter Chapter 1, I could just go directly to the Koopa Bros, and that would be it, right? I wouldn't have to waste time clipping into the prison to get Bombette or anything like that. However, having Bombette saves time later, because there are multiple doors that you run into that are not doors, but like cracked walls that you run into that need Bombette in order to advance. And having her is faster than clipping through them. I also think, I'm not 100% certain, but I think it would be impossible to finish Chapter 7 without Bombette. There is a cutscene trigger thing that happens that if you have the wrong partner in that cutscene, the game will crash. I have an incorrect partner for that cutscene, but a few of the partners do not cause the game to crash, one of which is Bombette. So it might actually be I actually had to get Bombette, but I'm not sure. Anyway, this fight goes really fast, as you can see. I just jump on Bowser, which puts the Koopa Bros out, but it doesn't end my turn. It stays my turn, and Bombette gets her turn when they're on their tower form, so it means I get to immediately knock them down and then Quake Hammer and just kill them all. Oh, going back to something earlier. So I have 23 base power based on my 1 base power plus 12, or I mean, not 12. I don't actually have 12 Power Rush badges. I have a couple, like, P up, D down, and Power Plus badges as well. But I have 23 power total. Or, no, not 23, 24 power total, I'm sorry. And then the Ultra Boots give me 2 more, putting me at 26 damage for jumps. The reason for that is literally it's just a very small optimization. There is, I believe, 2 boss battles. There is, no, maybe 3. There's 3 boss battles that have exactly 50 HP. There is the Super Blooper, there is Spike, and then there is Hallway Bowser. And Hallway Bowser has 1 defense. So with this amount of damage, we can just action command jump on all of them, and it just ends the fight in 1 turn. Just a very small optimization to make those fights go just a small amount faster. This is not a like perfectly optimized run by any stretch of the means, any stretch of the imagination. I'm sorry. If I had been planning to do this speed run early on in this file, because this is my original just like casual playthrough file, and then I realized there was New Game Plus, and I realized I could get all of these extra Speedy Spin badges, and then I was like, oh, okay, I want to do something stupid, right? But I hadn't been planning on any of this, and I didn't know exactly what this run was going to look like when I was starting it or anything like that. So this is not fully optimized. If we were being fully optimized, I would probably have more partner damage badges, which I will explain much later in the run. I would probably set Mario's damage to be even higher so that certain fights end even faster. Like if I get to, I want to say it's 30 damage. If I get to 30 damage, I could beat Toot and Koopa in 1 hit. There's also like really theoretical stuff like key item duplication. There's a ways to put key items into Mario's regular item inventory, and then I could New Game Plus, and those items would stay in the inventory. And then if I collect more than 10 items and have to throw an item out, I could throw out a key item, and then when I pick it up again, it ends up back in Mario's key item inventory, right? Oh yeah, there it is. My first of many accidental clips out of bounds. But yeah, so I could theoretically, like, I don't know, put keys that are kind of slow to collect into Mario's inventory, or there are certain items that don't count. Oh yeah, we go directly from Chapter 1 into Chapter 2 via these warp pipes and get to watch another cutscene the wrong way again. I'm not certain every key item. I've never really looked into key item duplication because I've just never wanted to do it. But I'm not certain if you could dupe every key item. If you could, there are a few that would save a tremendous amount of time, and I'll talk about it when we get there. But anyway, we're starting Chapter 2 here. We skip the Blinker Stone because with the Ultra Boots, this is actually why we get the Ultra Boots early. This is like the only reason we need the Ultra Boots is to be able to get into Chapter 2. Oh, another accidental clip out of bounds. Let's go. Here we grab this key to use later, and then clip out of bounds here. This is actually really slow. I did not get this clip as fast as I would have liked, and then even worse, I think I actually get it second try here, and then I accidentally clip back inbounds. Um, One of the interesting things about this room is that this room and the room that you're actually supposed to use that key in exist in the same area. So the upper room actually is right above us, the room that drops the sand into this room. It's actually possible to accidentally end up in that room when doing this clip, and if you do, it's actually just fastest to hit the switch to drop the sand and then just come back down into this room and go across. Yeah, this took way too long, unfortunately. But the basic idea here is I'm trying to get on the wall seam, the right wall seam, and then just make my way over into the upwards loading zone there. Doors in Chapter 2 are interesting, the locked doors. Unlike other chapters where locked doors are actual doors, here the locks just cover panels that slide up and reveal the always there loading zone. So you can actually clip through locked doors in this dungeon, this chapter, and this chapter only, and get into the loading zones. Now, the reason I collected the key was to open that door specifically. If I wanted to, it is possible to actually clip out of bounds there and get into that loading zone. It's just very difficult and very slow. I also screw up hard here. I should not have done a spin jump right there. I was trying to save that jump because I realized I wasn't underneath the actual platform there. So I was trying to get the extra height to end up back there, but I didn't. And if you spin jump out of bounds, it can very easily soft lock you. Soft locking is a major issue in this speedrun because out of bounds soft locking can happen very easily. It just sort of depends on Mario's position when it's trying to put him back on the ground. So anyway, we're gonna go ahead and skip another key here by doing basically the same trick I did earlier. Once again, just like I did earlier, I had the out of bounds clip and then I clipped back in bounds. And in fact, I decide I'm not going to bother doing this the way that I had been trying right there again. Instead, once I get out of bounds, this is what I refer to as an up warp. To explain how out of bounds works in this game, when Mario falls for 1,000 units of distance, the game just assumes he's out of bounds and attempts to put him back in bounds by just shooting him straight up with a ton of speed. And when it does that, if Mario ends up above solid ground, the game just puts him there, right? The game is checking for collision as he's flying up like that. If, however, he doesn't, if there is no solid ground below him when he's launched up like that, the game will attempt to put him back on the last solid ground position he had been on. So like what you're seeing here is I'm going to clip out of bounds and end up on this back seam here, and then jump out of bounds below solid ground on a layer above me, and then it's just going to put me up here. So I don't have to go the long way to get back to this room. That's another small optimization that I didn't used to do because it's slower if you don't get that quickly, essentially, right? Like, it's obviously more consistent to go the slow way because you don't have to do any out of bounds tricks or anything like that. But I'd been losing a lot of time in Chapter 2, so I just decided to go for it, and I got it first try. By the way, it is actually possible to skip this section here, like everything. Getting all of those 3 treasures, putting them in the Chomp statues, watching that cutscene. It's possible to skip all of that. You can just clip down into the room below those stairs very easily and come fight Toot and Koopa. Problem is, the flag that spawns the Star Spirit card is actually tied to that cutscene, and this is all cards. So defeating Toot and Koopa, having done that, would not actually spawn the card. You would just beat Toot and Koopa, and then nothing would happen. Anyway, yeah, 30 HP on Toot and Koopa. If I'd had 4 more power, I could have just beaten him slightly faster. Again, that's not really a huge thing, though. Like, that's such a micro optimization. I'm not super concerned about it, really, because again, I would save what, like a second maybe in that fight. So again, this isn't the most ultra optimized speed run. That's also because it's basically just me and now Mace running it. So if I can convince other people to do it, I might decide to optimize it more. One new optimization in this run, though, is that I actually go for Chapter 2 card skip now. I have managed to pull it off. Not like ultra consistently, but consistently enough that like I just got to go for it because the Chapter 2 Peach scene is extremely, extremely slow to actually watch. Even with all the time I'm losing here, it's still way faster to go for this. To explain how this trick works, when Mario enters a loading zone, it checks to make sure he's on the ground, and then on the next frame, it activates the loading zone cutscene and loads him to the next area. What that means is when you land in a loading zone, if you jump on the same frame that you land on the loading zone won't activate right away. So you have one frame to jump and input a direction. And then when you land on the ground, you again have that same one frame to jump and input a direction to carry that loading zone with you. So what I did there was I jumped into that loading zone and carried it with me to when I collected the Star Spirit. But because the loading zone took priority over the Star Spirit cutscene, I just loaded out and skipped having to watch that cutscene. You see I saved there real quick. That was a safety save because now I don't get to save after having collected the Star Spirit, and there's a kind of easy soft lock you can do right here. I clip out of bounds to skip talking to Buzzard. Just a little bit of time save there. And then I have a really weird clip here. I've never actually had it happen where I fall straight down right there, but we're collecting the first of the 4 Bulb seeds here on our way back to town. We don't take the pipe back to town specifically because we need to get this seed. And we have to go back this way through Mount Rugged rather than going to Mount Rugged from the train because the first time you take the train to Mount Rugged, no matter what part of the game you're in at that time, the game treats it as you entering Chapter 2, so you have to actually watch the entire train cutscene. Oh, also, I freaked out here and thought I soft-locked, because whenever you jump on the train, you can't leave until your partner has jumped on the train with you, and even though Bombette had been with me when I, like, got to this lower area, because I had been moving so fast, her position didn't properly update, and she went back to where I had used to be. And she was so far away that I was afraid she got caught on collision and wasn't going to make it to the train. So I usually actually, believe it or not, what I usually do before entering that train is actually just use Bombette, her partner ability, to force her to be near me, even though it loses a little bit of time. Collect a second bulb seed here. We're actually about to do our first real sequence break of the run, as I like to call it. That's obviously not true, but we're going to do our first chapter out of order, actually. We're going to start Chapter 4 here instead of doing Chapter 3 next, because it's just faster, honestly. Doing Chapter 3 when you're in a post-Chapter 3 state makes Chapter 3 much, much faster. And Chapter 4 is just a chapter that's very fast and easy to beat, so... we clip here into into the area with Shy Guy's toy box, and again have to make it onto the spring without being able to see. The first thing we do when we enter Chapter 4 is just immediately leave because we need to put the toy train in. Thinking about it, it might actually be faster, not faster, but it might actually be slightly more optimal, I'm not sure, to actually do what I'm about to do next and then leave to put the train in. I don't know. If it was faster, it would be faster by like a matter of frames, so it doesn't really matter. But anyway, yeah. So using our incredible speed, we can clip over here to the switch that you're actually only supposed to be able to hit after you've finished all the stations in Shy Guy's toy box. But instead, we get to hit it right now and then go directly to the Chapter 4 boss go directly to Red Station. By the way, I don't know how that clip out of the switch, the lever area works. I don't know why I can clip into that wall but not through the wall, but then also I just fall through the wall. Ultimario, who helped route me out. By the way, I'm not sure if you can read it, but on my splits, this is called Ultimario percent. The reason it's called Ultimario percent is because a friend of mine from Discord, and actually I've known him all the way since back on Smashboards, Ultimario, he is not a speedrunner of Paper Mario, but he is very knowledgeable about Paper Mario speedrunning. A long time ago, well before this run, he told me he had made a theoretical speedrun for Paper Mario. I need to talk about this real quick. I fucked this fight up real bad. So here's how the fight is supposed to go. You hit the lantern once and defend. Because if you hit it the first time you hit the lantern twice, the lantern ghost is always going to blow it out on his turn. Unfortunately, I did not actually select the lantern ghost here on turn 2 to attack him, so I wasted a bunch of time, and this is I think the first part where I start getting on tilt. But I end up wasting a lot of time on this fight. But anyway, back to Ultimario. So Ultimario told me he had created a route for if a theoretical glitch in Paper Mario had been found that allowed you to walk through any walls, right? Which Paper Mario is such a broken game that could just have been a thing that was found. It obviously was not a thing that was found in actual regular Paper Mario, but I found it in this ROM hack. So he helped me route out a bunch of stuff in this game. So this is Ultimario percent. This is not all cards, this is Ultimario. Anyway, we get Watt here. Watt is completely useless, I'm sorry to say. She is my favorite partner, if I'm being totally honest, in vanilla Paper Mario. I've just always liked Watt a lot. She's just such a great partner to use, right? She can power up Mario. She can paralyze enemies very easily. Her attack completely ignores defense. She's a great partner. Unfortunately for this run, she's completely useless. She is only necessary for the same reason that getting the 3 treasures in the pyramid was necessary. The card does not spawn unless you see the cutscene of the Shy Guys breaking the wall, entering into the boss battle. Another small optimization I want to talk about actually real quick is not breaking that wall. I used to break the wall so that I could see when I was getting into this room, right? With Bombette, but doing that is really slow because what happens is you're forced to switch to Watt when you get her. And then you have to switch back to Bombette, blow up that wall, watch a cutscene of the Shy Guys running away, switch back to Watt, and then you can, enter the boss room. By clipping through the wall, you just skip all of that, obviously, and you just have Watt out already, so it's just a small optimization. Speaking of small optimizations, Quake Hammer on that Shy Troop is slightly faster than anything else because Mario just doesn't walk as far, and the animation isn't as long as jumping. I guess I should talk about the other badges I have equipped on. I have Power Bounce, Quake Hammer, Multi-Bonk. Multi-Bounce? I think it's Multi-Bounce. Yeah, it's Multi-Bounce. Multi-Bonk is Goombario's ultra rank ability. Spike Shield, Flame Shield, a handful of Flower Savers for literally no reason. I just had a bunch of extra FP. Obviously, all of the power-up and damage dodge close call badges to make Mario completely invincible and ridiculously overpowered. And then I have a handful of partner damage badges as well. Partner damage actually is never supposed to come up in this game. There shouldn't be any fight that should take more than one Mario turn, outside of the final boss battle. But even then, it doesn't actually matter because when it becomes time for the partner to attack, Bowser will be at 1 HP, so it shouldn't matter. Anyway, we have finished Chapter 4 here real quick. Oh, I guess, hold on, going back to the badges real quick. The reason I have those badges on specifically, Power Bounce obviously is just to kill things. Quake Hammer is because it's the fastest way to kill groups of enemies. Multi-Bounce is because there are 2 fights that involve flying groups of enemies, but some of them are flying, right? So you can't Quake Hammer them. And then Spike Shield is for like technically for nothing. There's no enemy in this game that you're required to fight and also jump on that is spiked, but it's just mostly there in case I accidentally land on spiked enemies while running through the game, right? Because I only have 5 HP, so, and very frequently I will take like damage from random hazards, overworld hazards. So like if I'm at 1 HP and I land on a spiked enemy, like that'd be really bad, obviously, right? Also, Ultimario was the one who helped me set up this save file. He got a couple extra speedy spin badges for me, and he just had Spike Shield on because he wasn't certain if he couldn't remember if Bowser was a spiked enemy or not. And his defense, despite as many times as I've played this game, and despite the fact that I used to speed run this game vanilla, which never got Spike Shield, and thus I should know that Bowser is not a spiked enemy. I also, when he said that, just wasn't sure if Bowser was a spiked enemy. So Spike Shield is on. Anyway, as you saw there, we did another LZS card skip. It took me a few tries to get, not too many. I actually tend to have way more difficulty with Chapter 4's card skip. Well, I guess technically the one I have the most difficulty with now is Chapter 2, since I actually do it. But I don't know why. I've practiced the Chapter 4 card skip so much, but I tend to have a tremendous amount of difficulty with it. And then I usually have a much easier time with the Chapter 3 card skip, despite it being longer. Like, it's a much longer LZS you have to do in order to get it. But yeah, I don't know why. I'm just way more consistent going to the left than I am going to the right, I guess. Anyway, heading to Chapter 3 now with the pipe we opened at the very beginning of the game. Haha, sequencing. See that? Like, that was an optimization right there. Because we're in a Chapter 4 state right now, the game considers Chapter 3 completed. So there's no cutscene when we enter Gusty Gulch here, which is great because we don't have bows, so the game would actually just crash if there was that cutscene there. By the way, that's why that's the other reason that we're doing Chapter 3 after Chapter 4. So it also just meant that we could just walk to Gusty Gulch. We didn't have to do anything in the Boo's Mansion. Speaking of spiked enemies, so this guy is very obnoxious. The hyperclefts that are right here. So I actually end up just taking this fight and killing them. I do this sometimes just depending on how obnoxious the enemy seems like they're going to be as I'm trying to do my trick, because it might just be faster to save them, to kill them than actually let them keep interrupting me. This is another clip where I just had way more trouble on this during this run than I usually have. Like, normally I have no issue getting out of bounds here on the back seam. And then just being able to do this. Yeah, just you spin jump and you just end up there, right? I will say I've noticed it's actually gotten harder the more speedy spin badges I've gotten, which is kind of odd. Like back when I was only using like 10, it was very consistent. Like I'd get it 100% of the time. But now that I'm using more than that, that one and a few other ones have been noticeably more difficult. I have never run into this enemy before in any of the runs I've done. This is the first time I've ever run into this enemy. Oh, don't blink or you're going to miss this. This is the only room where this works. So there's a breakable panel at the bottom of that room. Sort of like the one that I used in the sewers to get to the Chapter 3 pipe, right? But for some reason, in that room only, the loading zone for the breakable panel exists everywhere out of bounds, like infinitely in all directions once you're just below the room. I think it's because that room is the only room with a breakable panel like that that doesn't also have other loading zones in it. It just has doors, and doors don't act like normal loading zones. But I'm not sure. I'm not exactly why it's like that. But yeah, so the fastest way to do that room is just to enter it and immediately clip out of bounds. So I just thought that was funny. I found that by accident, by the way. I didn't know that was a thing. I just accidentally clipped out of bounds and it happened. Anyway, I should explain this, by the way. So we are now back in a Chapter 3 state. Collecting that first key that I got told the game that I'm in Chapter 3. So now I'm actually in Chapter 3 and can actually complete it. Again, this is why doing a later chapter before this is faster. It just allows you to not have to not have to deal with a lot of things, basically. You can open that door behind that sleeping Cleft. Clubba. Without waking him up. It's actually a little finicky. I've said finicky a lot. A lot of things in this game are finicky. A lot of them are very like precise, or like you have to be standing in very specific areas. But yeah, you can in fact open that door without waking those Clefs up. I'm just gonna keep calling them. That's their new name. They are Clefs now. They don't get a choice. Anyway, yeah. So things are going well relatively here, but I'm actually, you can't see it, you can't know it, but I was actually kind of on tilt when I was playing here. The terrible fight against the Lantern Ghost, as well as just having difficulty getting that very simple clift. Dude, everything is clefts now. Just everything. This is paper cleft. But that clip by the cleft that I was having trouble with, like, I was just not, and also getting into that fight with the Clubba, like, it was just messing with my brain, which is why, like, I didn't just immediately answer that question. I just started holding the direction that I was trying to spin, and yeah. And then it gets even worse here. So there's this cool thing you can do after this cutscene, wherein, unfortunately, I find it very annoying actually that this cutscene forces you through the door. If it didn't just force you through the door, and I think it's just because they didn't want to have to animate, they didn't want to have to make an animation of Tubba Blubba jumping down like that, but you can clip off this this bridge into the level below it, and you get to skip going through a room. Unfortunately, I ended up clipping into the door. And now I was just like trying to find a way to clip through the door back down, but it didn't work, and I ended up in a fight with Tubba Blubba, and this is where everything starts going real bad. It was not ideal. And then I'm just stuck in this fight because you have a very low chance of actually running away from him, unfortunately. Luckily, in this ROM hack specifically, both you and your partner get the option to try and run. I cannot believe I missed that one right there, but yeah, so I'm just trapped in this fight for far longer than I would have preferred. And then I just decided, screw it, I'm going to take the slow way. So yeah, that did not help. This is where everything starts going downhill. It's rough for the rest of this chapter, unfortunately. Just things don't go the way they should, and I play pretty poorly for the rest of this run. I have a timer up for this run. Ignore the splits. I was trying to figure out I could not remember what my hotkeys were for splits, and I accidentally created a 0-second split for chapter 1, and it just updated all of my other splits, because it takes, my old split was around 16 minutes to beat chapter 1. And it basically just deleted 16 minutes off of all of my other splits for some reason. But yeah, so I have splits up for this, but this is if this had been a actual me trying to do the best run I could possibly do, I would have just reset after screwing up on Lantern Ghost, honestly. Maybe not, actually. Maybe I would not have, just because I got the chapter 2 card skip, because this is my first time on recording getting it. Maybe I wouldn't have actually done that, but yeah, see, things are still going wrong here. As you see, I just accidentally clipped out of bounds, and then I got into a fight with a Hyper Goomba that I didn't want to get into a fight with, so things are still not going great for me in chapter 3. But anyway, we have Tubba Blubba's heart. We can't. I'm going to kill it, but it's not going to count, unfortunately. It has 50 HP, which is the amount of damage I can do very easily. It's actually just hard-coded to have the fight end whenever it gets below 5 HP, I think. So technically he has 45 HP. I think it's when it gets to 5 HP or below, the fight just automatically ends. By the way, I don't know why, but in that fight only, the Hyper Goomba, or in that room only, the Hyper Goomba just disappears, and I think it's because Tubba Blubba's heart is in that room. I think that's the only reason. All right. Sorry, I just had to mentally prepare myself for this. So here is the Vincible Tubba Blubba fight. Very easy. He has 10 HP. You know, this is not a real fight. And then comes the final card skip in the game. I guess technically final if you are a human task bot, like if you are literally capable of the most impossible LZSs that any human being has ever attempted to do. You could do an LZS card skip in Chapter 6 as well, which would save a ton of time, just an unbelievable amount of time. But, oh, actually, you know what? Now that I think about it, no, it wouldn't. Because you'd still have to watch that Peach scene anyway. Anyway, so yeah, so here is the last LZS card skip, and this is the one I usually have the easiest time with. But for again, I'm very on tilt at this point. Like I've been playing very bad and screwing things up, and like I'm not even like I'm just look how bad I'm doing. I'm not even getting the initial jumps for the LZSs here. So like look at that. I'm just jumping into the loading zone. That was pretty good, I guess. But yeah, this is taking... So this card skip in particular doesn't actually save a ton of time because the Peach cutscene that you watch for this card is only about 2 minutes long. So if you don't... Like, if you... I don't even think it's like 2 minutes long. I think it's like a minute. So if you can't get this LZS, like if you were doing this yourself, and you can't get this one because it's too hard, because it's too far or whatever, right? God, look how bad I'm doing here. Like, just collecting the card right away doesn't lose you that much time. But anyway, I screwed it up. Yeah. I wasted all of that time. And I still accidentally collected the card. So one of the things about these LZS card skips is you have to be hitting the card on your way down from the jump. Like, you have to be descending on your descending arc from the jump. Because if you're not, too much time will pass between collecting the card and landing on the ground, and it'll just start the Peach cutscene. So I wasted all of that time getting that LZS, and I didn't even get it. I have to watch this Peach cutscene. So this is where everything sort of went wrong. This is definitely where, had I not been recording this for a video, I would have absolutely just ended this run and deleted this VOD. The thing is, too, like, I noticed on my way to the card that I was too close when I was going for that last jump. So I tried to, like, delay when I hit the control stick forward to make Mario not get as much of a jump so that he would, like, collect the card on his way down. But I just didn't delay it enough. And I didn't delay it enough. I just didn't delay it at all. Like, my muscle memory took over and I just got the full jump. But yeah, so here's the Peach cutscene. As you can see, though, the whole thing, like, beginning to end, this has been this will be a little over a minute, right? Like, I think we entered with about 47 on the clock. We're ending with a little over 48. It's not a huge time loss if you don't want to do this LZS at all, right? Like, if you just don't want to try it, because I mean, you only have about a minute to make attempts before you start losing time anyway. Obviously, you also still have to watch this post cutscene as well. So, all in all, you do lose, I want to say, actually closer to about a minute and a half, probably about a minute 40 total. But in the grand scheme of a 2-hour run, that's not really a huge, like, that's not a huge difference. Like, if you save 30 seconds compared to watching the cutscene. But anyway, again, talking about optimizations earlier, because we have the Chapter 3 pipe open, we get to leave via the Chapter 3 pipe. And since we already opened the Chapter 5 pipe, we actually just get to clip across the water here and go directly to Chapter 5. I've always really liked how I routed out the very beginning of this run, going from, Ultra Boots, Chapter 5 pipe, clipping back inbounds on Chapter 3 pipe, and then going up the sewers to enter the Chapter 1 warp pipe, right? Like, I'm impressed with myself, and I want to gloat basically. Anyway, uh, clip out of bounds onto this back seam here and enter the volcano. That's actually a vanilla speedrunning trick. Not clipping out of bounds on that bush, mind you. You can't do that in vanilla, but you can get onto that back seam in vanilla via one of two clips, either jumping up a tree or using paracarry if you're in the Japanese version. And then you can just enter the volcano the same way I did, which is you actually have to jump into that lava flow, the like waterfall, the lava fall in the background, because all of the lava that exists everywhere, even like all of the lava that exists everywhere, even when you wouldn't normally be able to get to it, like on the upper level out there by the entrance, is real lava. If you fall into it, you will take damage. So, but the actual like falls of it doesn't count. So you have to jump into that in order to not take damage. Anyway, another little cool thing that happens here is I'm going to clip out of bounds here, and I'm going to touch the lower loading zone, but it's going to load... When Mario plays the cutscene to walk towards that loading zone, he'll actually clip into the upper loading zone here that allows me to take this zip line. That's another thing I didn't used to do. I used to just do an up warp and clip into this loading zone that takes me into this tunnel room here from below. But it's kind of slow to do, especially if you don't get it on your first try. So I've started doing that instead, just to go a little more consistently fast. You saw me run into the fire bar on purpose there. That is because when you hit the fire bar, it puts Mario into an invincible state where he can't get into fights with enemies. And also, if he lands in the lava, instead of flying up into the air and taking damage and landing in a predetermined spot, it just bounces him back onto the land. So it allows me to just go through that entire platform very quickly without having to worry about the enemies, basically. And without worrying about when I hit the lava at the end. I got the flare skip very quickly there, which was very nice. That clip into that rock is very inconsistent now that I have a lot of speed, and I'm not sure why. Lava Piranha fight. This one's pretty easy. Each phase of Lava Piranha, I think, has 40 HP. This is the entire reason that we have the Fire Shield badge pre-equipped. It's just for this fight. I always think the cursor is going to auto-select the leftmost Piranha Bud, but it doesn't. It always sets to Lava Piranha. And even though, you're going to see it again here, even though I just realized, again, because this happens every fight, that no, it auto-selects Lava Piranha. I'm going to do it again here on the second phase. Cool thing about this ROM hack, by the way, is they skipped the part where Colorado runs in. I'm not sure if that's supposed to be a thing that they programmed in, but yeah, you just don't have to watch Colorado run in during this fight. But yeah, this is the entire reason we have Fire Shield equipped, just so that we can jump on Lava Piranha here. There's no other reason for it. Oh, I should also explain. So one of the other things that makes further optimizing this run a little difficult is the fact that so even though I restart every run at level 1, my stats obviously stay the same. So I have like 96, I think, currently badge points, which is 1 below the maximum. I think I start the run with like 40 FP. And then every level I get during the run goes directly into FP. The problem is if I were to try and continue doing more and more New Game Plus playthroughs to get more and more badges, I would be forced to level up. Obviously, I wouldn't need to do all of the battles that I'm doing in this run. I would actually only have to do, like, I think 6 battles total are mandatory. The problem is between those 6 battles, I would get, I think, either 2 or 3 levels, just depending on how much experience I start the run with. And eventually, I will run out of FP level ups to choose as I level up, and would have to start choosing HP. And when that happens, I lose access to all of my Close Call and Power Rush badges. So I would just not be able to do this run anymore, basically. So that's another reason that the macro optimizations for this, or rather the micro optimizations for this, have not happened. This wall can be skipped, this bombable wall. It is possible to skip this without bombette and not have to watch that cutscene. Oh, so what I just tried to do right here was fall into the lava because it's faster than climbing up the stairs. But instead, I ended up having so much speed that I didn't quite hit the lava, and I ended up in the background lava fall. And I didn't get to hit the lava until Mario was being launched straight up. So yeah, that happened. That was annoying. Anyway, it's time for one of the 2 longest Peach scenes in the entire game. By the way, I didn't really talk about this, but the Chapter 4 card skip. So the Chapter 3 card skip, I've said a bunch of times, like, if you can't get it, like, if you were to do this run, and you can't get the Chapter 3 card skip, it's not a huge deal. Again, like I said, you waste about a minute 40 seconds, or you spend about a minute 40 seconds watching the Peach scenes. So if you can't get that card skip in less than, a minute 40, it doesn't really matter. The Chapter 4 card skip really cannot be skipped. Like, you can't not do that one. The Chapter 4 Peach scene is very long. You have to go to the dining room to talk to Gourmet Guy. Then you have to go down to the kitchen. And then you have to do the entire cake baking minigame, which takes a long time. Literally, I think, optimally, just baking the cake on its own takes like 3 minutes, right? So that entire Peach cutscene takes between like 4 and 5 minutes on its own. You cannot not do it. You have to be able to do that one. The Chapter 2 one as well is rather long. It's not Chapter 4 long, and it's not Chapter 5 or Chapter 6 long either, but it is long. It's like 3 minutes. And that card skip is like, realistically, if you can do it, it takes like 10 seconds, right? So the amount of time you save doing the Chapter 2 card skip is massive, which is why I took the time out to get better at it so that I would be able to do it, because I don't want to lose all of that time, right? In fact, just hitting that Chapter 2 card skip, even with all of the time that I lost on the Chapter 3 card skip, I still probably was ahead just because of that. Anyway, we are entering into we're finishing up the chapter 5 Peach scene here. We're about to head into the worst part of this speedrun, and that is Chapter 6. So I've been doing a lot of ridiculous stuff in this game, right? I've been skipping literally everything, doing crazy clips with all of my extreme speed to allow me to not have to basically play any of the game the right way. Unfortunately, Chapter 6 is not like that. The way Chapter 6 is set up, every room is basically just a long straight hallway, right? There's nothing to skip. There's no walls I can clip through that will make anything faster. And in order to reach the boss, you are required to plant the beanstalk in Chapter 6, which requires you to get the magical bean, the fertile soil, and the mystic water. I don't remember what it's actually called. And you have to do those, and you have to do them the right way. You can't, like if I were to just start the run by immediately going to Posey, is it? I think that gives you the soil. And to get the soil and the crystal berry, so that I could just take that to Rosie and get the water stone, right? Like trying to skip talking to Lily the first time. I would then not be able to get the magic bean, because the magic bean is actually supposed to be like one of the first things you do. Basically, if I hand the water stone to Lily before getting the magic bean, I can no longer get the magic bean, right? So there's no real way to do anything faster in Chapter 6. You just sort of have to go to each NPC, talk to them, do their quest in order, and then talk to the sun, destroy the Puff Puff machine, and that's it. You just kind of have to play Chapter 6 the right way. I'm also, I should point out, I'm going back to Toad Town the quote-unquote normal way after leaving Chapter 5 through the pipe, rather than clipping across the water and going up the Toad Town sewers pipe that isn't in the blue house. And the reason for that is because, again, I'm still on tilt, and I was just afraid that I was going to screw up the clips into the water, and it was going to take forever, so I just went the slow way. But anyway, yeah, we're collecting the final magical seed here from the final Bulb. For anyone who's never played Paper Mario or who isn't as well versed in Paper Mario as I am, you go 2 to the left, then you go 1 to the left, 1 to the left, and you're in the room with the Bulb, and he is just past 2 to the left, and then you just take that pathway and leave. It's that easy. Weird thing, I'm actually not certain if this is true for just this ROM hack or if this is true in vanilla as well. If you try and give Minty these 4 magical seeds, but you aren't in a post Chapter 5 state, the game crashes. And I'm not sure why. I'm not sure if that is just from this ROM hack or, again, if that is a thing that also happens in vanilla. I don't think that would happen in vanilla, though. I can't imagine why it would. And it doesn't crash, like, trying to load the door, mind you, right? Like, it's not, I give her the seeds, and then it's trying to play the cutscene for the door, but it's not the right time for the cutscene for the door, so the game crashes. It's literally when she goes to plant, like, the first seed. The game just crashes. Really not sure why. I will talk about something else real quick, though, because, again, you're just going to watch me play Chapter 4 mostly normally here, or Chapter 6 mostly normally here. So, this will give me some time to talk about some other things. The first thing is, as this is New Game Plus, I actually already have all of the berries that you would collect to open the gates in Chapter 6 in my inventory right now, so I never have to collect those. All of the gates can actually be clipped through via spinning, but they're not easy to clip through for some reason. I don't know why. They feel like they should be easy, just based on how they're angled. It should actually be very easy to clip through them, but for some reason they're not. So I have all of the berries. The yellow berry won't actually get used because we can't actually make it down the yellow berries path regularly. You need Parakarry or Lackluster for it. But all of the other ones will end up getting used. And again, all of them can be skipped. Even the Bubbleberry can be skipped, but it's just fast. It's faster and more consistent. Or rather, it's faster because it's more consistent to just use the berries for all of these gates. But going back to something that I talked about much earlier in the run, key item storage. Or key item duplication. I don't think it's possible to dupe key items that are handed to you, like for instance the magic bean that I'm gonna get here. No, Posey is the one who gives you the magic bean. Petunia is the one who gives you the soil, right? Anyway, it doesn't matter. So I don't believe it's actually possible to dupe the items that are handed to you. I think they just disappear if your inventory is full, your key item inventory is full. I don't think they go into your regular item inventory. If I'm wrong about that, however, there would be a way to massively speed up Chapter 6. By the way, this is the one clip, well, one of 2, I should say. This is like the one clip that gets used by spinning and hammering behind the yellow flower, which you're not actually supposed to normally be able to get behind. I can only do it because I have so much speed. You end up out of bounds, like you end up clipped into the wall, and then you didn't see it there. Instead, I accidentally just ended up in the upper level with all of the crazy daisies. But ideally, what happens is you end up on the seam behind the fence so that you can just skip fighting all of the Amazy Daisies. Anyway, key item storage. if it was possible to do key item duplication with the key items in this chapter, I would be able to skip basically everything. So I would start the game with the bean, the soil, and the water already in my inventory, and then I would just go directly to Lackluster, talk to the sun, go directly to the Puff Puff machine to reveal the sky, and then I could just plant the beanstalk and go directly to the boss battle. I would not have to do anything in Chapter 6 except that. By the way, this is the first of 2 uses of multi-bounce, by the way. Just thought I'd point it out. There is a reason for us to have that badge on. So that is something I should theoretically look into. The thing about key item duplication is, in order to get key items into your regular inventory, you have to have 64 key items in your key item inventory, and that takes a lot of work. Not a lot of work. It takes a lot of time, because you basically have to collect every key item without actually using them. And one of the very big issues is that you also have to collect all of those key items while using 4 of them to open flower fields, right? Like, you have to use 4 key items to open this area, so I'm not exactly certain how it would work. I need to talk to some people in the RTA Discord so I get a better idea of how, like, key item overflow like that works. But yeah, so theoretically, if that was possible, again, what I would do is I would just have the bean, the soil, and the water in my inventory, my regular inventory when I start the game. I'd have 10 items just in my inventory regularly. And then as I progress through the game, actually probably just right when I got here to Flower Fields, because there's a repeatable, there's like 3 stinkweeds you can just grab that would allow you to toss the key items out of your inventory and then put them into your key item inventory. And then I would just be able to go directly to Lackluster, directly to Puff Puff Machine. Here is, by the way, here's how it's supposed to look. See, that way you get to skip all of the Amazy Daisies, or the Crazy Daisies. But yeah, so at least for the time being, I don't think that's possible, so I am just forced to play Chapter 6 basically the regular way. It's still pretty fast, mind you. Like, Mario is ridiculously overpowered and really fast, so most of this stuff goes very quickly, but it's just, it's obnoxious that there's not really anything outside of that theoretical thing that I can do to really make this chapter faster. This is like the anti-speedrun chapter, unfortunately. And if this was like an any percent run, this chapter, well, if it was an any percent run, I would never actually enter this chapter. I wouldn't. Maybe I'll make a video on that. I haven't a playthrough of me doing this any percent without with all of this speed, and it's only like 45 minutes long, so I might upload a video like this of that as well. But yeah, if it was any percent, like, this chapter would go very quickly. But unfortunately, because it's all cards and I have to actually fight the boss, we have to do all of this the slow way. Oh, I just want to shout out the bee. Anyone who's done it, honestly, anyone who's even probably played this game casually, but anyone who's done a speed run that is an old speed run of this game back before early Lackey was really a thing, knows about this bee. Yeah, there was no way I could avoid that. It was literally impossible to avoid this bee. It hit me while I was still in the bubble. So, that's not guaranteed to happen. That's just like a random chance, depending on where the bee is when you cross that, area. But unfortunately, it got me. So, here's the other clip. Saves a little bit of time. You get to just clip through that block instead of having to break it with Bombette. I used to do a much weirder clip to get up here, until I realized I could just clip through the block. I don't know why. Originally I just didn't think I could, but no, you can definitely clip up that block very easily. Anyway, here we have the Lackey fight. Again, this is something that was optimized before the run even began. He has 50 HP, so just one jump. It's that easy. Lackey is the last partner we're going to get. Obviously, he's also just the last partner in the game. He is a required partner because you cannot get to the Puff Puff machine without him. Or at least you can't get to it without him in this run. It is technically possible to get to the machine without him if you have, I think, Paracarry. And also are a TAS player, but I'm not even gonna attempt that. We're just gonna get Lackey. He is also he is a useful partner. There are the bee got me again. There are a few different points in this run where we are going to use Lackey Lester. None of them are mandatory, mind you, with the exception of the stuff here in chapter 6. Also, right there, I was like, I need to get on Lackey. I'm like, wait, no, I don't. It's faster to not do that. But yeah, so none of them are mandatory except this right here. This is the only like mandatory usage of Lackey Lester, is to get across this set of thorns. However, having him will make it faster when we go back to chapter 5, as well as when we're escaping the prison in chapter 8. Again, both of which are doable without Lackey Lester, but obviously we can't skip him, and having him is just faster. So we're gonna use him because we have him. I don't know why, I was just really happy that I got that like perfect hammer on the Puff Puff machine. Anyway, here's the other usage of multi-bounce. This is it. This is the last time you get to see it. Enjoy it. Enjoy it, folks. It is also, I believe... No. There is... I was about to say, I think it's the last mandatory non-boss fight. But there's actually, I think, 2 more. There are 2 more fights I have to do, I believe, that are not required, like, story boss fights. Is it 2? No, it might be 3. I don't know. We'll count when we get there, I guess. You'd think with how many times I have played this game, I would know, like, this game well enough to tell you how many fights are left, but I'm just, you know. I'm also very impressed with myself not having landed in any of those spikes. I frequently spin myself into those spikes. Anyway, finally we're towards the end of this long ass chapter. You actually have to talk to Wisterwoods here before you can plant the beanstalk. I don't know why. I don't know why it's required, I guess. He tells you that you can plant it there, but like I feel like he shouldn't have to. Like, obviously, if you don't know, it's nice to have an NPC that tells you, but also, if you do know, you should just be able to do it. Also, shoutouts to this long-ass cutscene that we have to watch not only once, but twice. And in fact, it's so long and so boring, I'm just going to make you watch it while I go get some water to drink. Be right back. Is important, kids. If you're an hour into this video and you haven't hydrated recently, please do. Yeah, you have to watch this cutscene twice, too, which is half the reason I left. I had plenty of time. Unfortunately, I have not quite gotten out. When I was playing through this, I had still not quite gotten over the terrible play I had in chapter 3. And I make another mistake in this fight. And that is that I forget you need to power bounce Huff and Puff. Yeah, he has too much HP. And even more unfortunate is the fact that Lackey Lester fucking sucks. Like, I have a bunch of partner damage badges on, but I do not have enough to actually kill Huff and Puff here. And even more unfortunate is the fact that because he's below, I believe it's 10 HP, he only does this body slam attack when he's at a specific amount of HP. I don't remember how low it has to be, though. I have to watch him do this. This attack is the longest attack that he has. It takes the longest amount of time. If he had just healed, healing would have taken significantly less time. But, yeah. So, I lost, you know, a solid 30 plus seconds in this fight. That was cool. Had no reason to. I'm just dumb. I'm just dumb. That's the only thing I can say. Luckily, with this, Chapter 6 is over. Chapter 7 is another one where there's not... So, Chapter 7, the dungeon for Chapter 7, the Crystal Palace, is a lot like Chapter 6 in that it's just a lot of, like, straight corridor rooms. So you wouldn't think there's a lot of things you can do to speed up that chapter, but there actually really is. There's a lot of really cool tricks in Chapter 7. They don't look... A lot of them don't look like super, super interesting, but they skip a lot. They say it saves quite a bit of time. It's really cool. I don't think Chapter 7 is my actual favorite. If I'm being totally honest, even though it's really obnoxious, I think Chapter 2 is my favorite just because of how, like, wrong it looks. Like, you just do everything. You do the whole dungeon, basically, but you do everything wrong. And I love that for it, but Chapter 7 is probably my second favorite. It is also one of only, like, 3 chapters where we do not everything, but we do most of the actual dungeon. Because obviously Chapter 1, we just got Bombette and then finished. Chapter 3, we skipped the entirety of Boo Manor. Chapter 4, oh my god, we didn't do anything in Chapter 4. Or Chapter 5, for that matter, right? We just skipped everything. But I do like Chapter 7. Anyway, we have a long Peach cutscene here. Unfortunately, this is another one you can't really skip anything. Mace brought up the idea that maybe it's faster to actually get captured right after you get the key and go back to Peach's castle or Peach's room. I don't think it is, though. I think that's still slower. Because what you would do in that case is you would just relieve Peach's room and then head down to this clubba as Peach, right? What you save is the time of walking through the hallway and down the stairs, right here. What you lose is the cutscene of Peach getting captured and then walking through Bowser's room again, right? The thing is, the Peach cutscene takes a bit of time, and there's also a little part after you get captured where Twink says, "Be sure not to get seen." So I don't know. I actually don't know if that's faster. I may test that out, but I feel like it just feels like it isn't. Like, it's a thing I'm going off on feels. God, I wish Peach could spin. Like, look at this. There's nothing happening. I'm just walking down a long hallway. Like, God, I wish Peach could spin. I feel like the cutscene they have with Kammy Koopa should have happened in that bottom hallway, right? Like, you run up on 2 Koopa trolls talking about what Kammy Koopa is building or something, right? And then she comes into that hallway to say it's complete. Upstairs, like, the thing that is upstairs has been completed or whatever, right? And then that's where the cutscene ends, and you have to walk all the way up here. That'd be great. I'd love that. Unfortunately, no. You gotta walk all the way up here just so this cutscene can happen, and we're done. So, speaking of things that I've never actually bothered testing out or timing out, is the thing that I'm going to do next. So the next thing I'm about to do here is I'm going to go back to chapter 5. I am going to do chapter 7, but I'm going back to chapter 5 to start it. The reason is I'm going to do a peach warp. Basically, I'm going to trick the game into thinking I've completed chapter 5 again. And because of that, it's going to try and play... It's going to play a Peach cutscene, right? It's going to be like, oh, you've finished a chapter, we need to play a Peach cutscene. And so it's going to increment based off of what chapter I'm currently in, right? Because it sees that I'm in chapter 7 now, right? So it's like, oh, okay, you've beaten chapter 7. So here's the chapter 7 Peach cutscene. And when that happens, after the cutscene, it'll play the cutscene of me getting the Star Spirit, right? Which is just outside of the Crystal Palace. And from there, I'll be able to just enter the Crystal Palace, and then collecting a treasure chest will immediately tell the game I'm in Chapter 7 again. So it'll update from Chapter 8 back to Chapter 7. Basically, the reason I'm doing that is because it just gets me directly to the Crystal Palace. I don't have to do any of the pre-Crystal Palace Chapter 7 things, right? Like, I don't have to go talk to Merlon so that he can tell me about the ninjas. I don't have to head to the warp pipe into Shiver City. I don't have to do the Herringway murder mystery, right? I don't have to do any of the path up to Crystal Palace. Thing is, I don't know if this is actually faster. I've never bothered to do the actual Chapter 7 stuff. Like, I've never actually bothered to do Chapter 7 the regular way or the intended way. There's also a mandatory Junior Troopa fight, I should point out, in that section. Like, if you were to do Chapter 7 the normal way. Not that that matters. Again, it would just be like one turn of me clicking power bounce, but it's just another thing that takes time, right? Anyway, here's me doing the Peach Warp. There's a way to do it without all of this speed, just using Lackluster, but yeah, just fall into the room behind the Lava Piranha, and the game... At this point, the game still thinks I'm in Chapter 7. Nothing has updated my position to be in Chapter 5. So, it's about to play the Peach cutscene. So, the time I lose here, getting to the Crystal Palace, is going back to Chapter 5, doing this, and then watching the Chapter 7 Peach cutscene, right? Which is a very fast one, mind you. It's all text. It takes about, a minute and a half. So it doesn't take a lot of time to do this. Getting to Crystal Palace normally, I feel like it would take longer because I have to watch the Herringway cutscene. I have to fight Junior Troopa. I also don't exactly know how I would clip into the area behind the snowmen. The loading zone to enter the room behind the snowmen exists at all times. You can get in there vanilla using a different glitch. But the glitch requires Sushi, who I don't have. I'm sure I could get in there via, the tremendous amount of speed I have, because walls don't really exist for me. But there's a very thick invisible wall between the snowmen and that loading zone. So I'm not exactly certain how easy that would be. And then just climbing all the way up here to Crystal Palace, I feel like it would just take more time doing that. Which is the reason I've never actually bothered to time it out. But anyway, yeah, so here I've gotten the final Star Spirit, and I'm right in front of Crystal Palace, so I can just enter Crystal Palace very easily. And we start off right away with a cool trick. This is the trick that Mace can do that is exactly the same as Stair Skip, but for some reason can't do Stair Skip. But yeah, we clip out of bounds there to end up on the seam, and that room is 2-layered. And then I just jump, tap forward so that Mario falls off the seam, and then hold backward. So jump, tap right, hold left. And you gain some control of Mario while he's still in midair, so he just falls to the left and ends up in bounds on the bottom layer.
And that allows us to skip having to go to the other room that destroys the panel that opens the hole in this room. So, unfortunately, this is an unskippable bombette cutscene here. The loading zone for this breakable wall, and only this breakable wall, mind you, every other breakable wall with bombette, the loading zone exists behind the wall, but for this one, it's tied to the cutscene. So if you don't blow it up with bombette, you can't actually go through that wall. Anyway, so that allows us to grab the red key. And then we do another really cool trick here to skip doing some battles. Now, unfortunately, I don't get it right away. This is a trick that is only faster if you can get it, like, immediately. Because doing the actual 2 extra battles, you actually do have to do 1 battle. Doing the 2 battles and watching the statues explode doesn't actually waste that much time. Each battle only takes, like, 10 seconds, right? And then there's, like, 4 or 5 seconds of the statue exploding. So you don't actually lose that much time doing the battles. So you sort of have to get this trick faster than I did to save any time. Still, though, it's really cool and I want to show it off. So we got on the background to skip the statues and the giant, like, hole in the middle of the room. Then we clip through the glass to activate the final boss battle, the final enemy battle there, and then we stay on the side of the statue so that once the battle is over, we just get to enter and not have to have done the other 2 fights. Here you just clip out of bounds, and if you go, I'm not exactly certain why, but if you go past the rightmost wall here, the game just automatically plays the cutscene of all of the Cooper wannabes breaking through the door. I think what it is it's trying to play the cutscene of them grabbing Mario and putting him back to where he's supposed to be, but it can't do that until it's played the cutscene of them pulling out Cooper. By the way, this is the cutscene where if you do not have the right partner out, the game will just crash. Luckily, Bombette is one of the correct partners you can have out there. So the game doesn't crash. I had a little bit more trouble in this room, but this room is the same as the red key, the red door key. We get to skip going into the other room to push the statue by just clipping on to the scene here. I ended up trying to clip out on the pole there because I was having so much trouble getting onto this corner. But I did finally get it. That trick shouldn't be hard. I don't know why that took so many tries. But that allows us to grab the blue key real quick. Or not the blue key, I'm sorry, the palace key. There's only 3 keys in the entirety of Crystal Palace. I only really thought about that when I started playing the randomizer. I'm like, there's really not a lot you need to beat Crystal Palace. You need Bombette, you need Cooper, and you need the 3 keys, and that's just kind of it. Anyway, we clip through that glass to end up on this side because it allows us to just cross over on an invisible bridge. Yeah, we can just do that. Also, fun fact, we never killed the... I don't know why the clone of Mario, the Duplighost clone or the reflection, still exists in that room. You should never be able to get Mario to that room with the reflection. Like, that doesn't exist in vanilla. So I don't know why it's programmed to actually be there. Anyway, fun block pushing puzzle that cannot be skipped here. Love this. As I've pointed out multiple times before while playing this game on stream, and I think maybe even in the other video, I can actually get up to the door that exists behind this cutscene, like the door that's about to pop up right here. I can get up to it without doing the block pushing puzzle. The game just won't let you go through it. It's so sad. I almost wonder if the reason I'm not allowed to go through it is because I'm on the wrong side. Like, maybe if I could stand on the seam and technically be considered in front of it, it would let me do it, but I don't know. I might test that next time. Test some things out. That would save not a tremendous amount of time, but I mean it would save like 20 seconds. It'd be cool. Anyway, I luckily do not forget that I need to power bounce this enemy. This is the first enemy, like this is the first boss in the game that actually requires 4 hits to kill. Which one of the things I haven't talked about at all in this speed run, because it doesn't really come up, although it will happen. It actually will happen later. Is that bosses have power bounce caps? It's a hidden value that forces your power bounce to end, so that you can't just jump on them, an infinite number of times and kill them on turn 1 every single time. The way it works isn't that like it just picks a number and then you can do that many jumps and that's it. What actually happens is there is a percentage value for each jump before it caps you. So the first jump is 100%. You cannot be capped on the first jump. The second jump for everyone except Final Bowser is like 90%. So there's a 10% chance after you hit the second jump that you'll just be capped right there. And then it's like 75%, 50%. It just starts diminishing from there. Final Bowser actually has much worse power bounce caps. And in fact, one of the badges I have on that I haven't talked about, I have Dodge Master on. It makes the window for action commands larger, right? It makes doing action commands easier. But one of the things it doesn't tell you that it also does is it slightly increases the percentages for power bounce capping. So it makes it less likely for you to get power bounced capped early, basically. I just had the extra badge points to put it on. And again, Final Bowser and also Crystal King here take more than 3 jumps to kill. So, consistency's sake. Anyway, we just had to watch the same Peach cutscene again. But now we are actually done for realsies with all 7 chapters. Made very good time, honestly, in Chapter 7. I got a gold split there. I don't know if you can see it. The chroma key has it looking kind of weird. I have purple and green instead of red and gold, but the splits are all screwed up anyway, like I said earlier, because of the me trying to figure out what my hotkeys were. My actual current PB that I have like uploaded for this run and actually recorded is like 2 hours and 4 minutes. And I'm very ahead of that pace, honestly. Despite everything, and it's literally just because of like small optimizations that I implemented into this that I wasn't doing at the time, getting a couple tricks significantly faster than I got other things, and the Chapter 2 card skip, obviously. Obviously, I did lose quite a bit of time with the Chapter 3 card skip as well as various other things, but I'm actually still pretty far ahead of that time. Heading over to the final chapter, Bowser's Castle. It's another one where, like, unfortunately, there's not a lot of extremely cool things I get to do using my crazy speed. If this was any percent and I had no partners, Bowser's Castle would look very different, because I have to escape the prison with no partners. I have to do, like, Water Room with no partners. But I have partners, and I'd rather just do the more consistent strategies that involve them. So what's really cool is that the only partners you actually need to do Bowser's Castle, like, optimally are Bombette and Lackluster. I was about to say and Parakarry, but no, you don't actually need Parakarry. Parakarry, even in vanilla, Parakarry was only used once. Now there's in the any percent run, they actually skip Parakarry. I have never fallen off of Star Road like this before. And it just happened twice. Like, that never happens. And that's not me clipping because of the slope. That's me just clipping because of the corners. For some reason, it's never happened before. Oh, another little fun fact here is this is something you didn't get to see because I had no reason to show it. But one of the weird little quirks of New Game Plus is that Mario always has Starbeam. Like the second I had access to the Star Spirit menu in battle, I had Starbeam. It's just always there. Um, it doesn't work properly. Like if you select it instead of using Starbeam, it actually uses whatever Star Spirit power would be there. So like after chapter 1 when I only have Eldstar, it would use Lullaby instead because it's just reading it in the menu as the next Star Spirit power. But for the brief moments between when I got the chapter 7 Star Spirit power and I got Star Beam properly, I had Star Beam and I could have used it. There's no way I could use that in any way, shape, or form for the speedrun because none of the Star Spirit's powers are better than Mario doing 20 plus damage to everything, obviously. Like there's literally no situation where I would want to use a star power. But it is kind of just funny, and also if you ever download this ROM hack, which you should, the Thousand Year Door 64 ROM hack is actually really fun. It's not like it's not super different from regular Paper Mario because obviously I'm just playing the regular Paper Mario story, but with Thousand Year Door mechanics. But there are a lot of extra stuff and extra rooms that I obviously am not going to show off in a speed run because there's no point in showing off the extra rooms that were added. There's a lot of really cool stuff that was added to the ROM hack. It's a low sort of like low barrier, easy entry point ROM hack if you just want to play Paper Mario and you're not like ultra talented or like a speedrunner. You just want something different. It's a great ROM hack. You should check it out. I was not expecting to enjoy it as much as I did because when I first started playing it, it was just I thought they were going to change the story, but they didn't, and it was just vanilla Paper Mario story. So I was like, how much could I enjoy this? I've played vanilla Paper Mario a bajillion times, but I enjoyed it so much that I'm still playing it. Obviously. Anyway, so here we have Prison Escape. Again, this is possible to do with no partners. It's extremely difficult. I might grab the clip of me doing it and add it, just add it in the little corner to show you while we're watching Lackluster slowly take me to where I need to be so that I can skip doing the basement for Bowser's Castle. But this is all vanilla. Like this is a vanilla trick here. Obviously, I don't do it the vanilla way. But it is very possible to skip the Bowser basement with just Lackluster and Bombette. And not having, 1,000 speedy spin badges on. It is, however, significantly more difficult. I as a cheater get to just clip through this little pillar right here and hey look, I'm back up to the I've finished the basement Bowser door. I spent a lot of time just trying to figure out if there was a way to completely skip falling into the prison at all. Like I even clipped into the entrance that you're supposed to come out of from the basement and like entered that room from the basement after initiating but not triggering the fall into the prison. I wanted to see if like it would count as me having returned to that room, and it didn't. But yeah, so here's Water Room. Water Room, I'm going to do the slow way with all of my partners, the way you would do it. Normally, the way you would do this is you would just use a Cooper super jump to get the key, but I don't have Cooper, so I'm going to do it the other way to get the key that involves using all my partners. I could skip doing it this way. Like, I could skip a lot of this. I could have clipped directly up to the chain I'm going to right now and just set the water to level 3 and then came back over this way. I would have actually had to clip into this wall to enter the loading zone because you can't blow up this wall from the other end. Uh, Bombett's breakable walls are all one-sided, unfortunately. But yeah, so I could have skipped raising the water the slow way and gone that way. The problem is the loading zone that takes you to, like, the Bombette loading zone and the regular loading zone uh, are two different sizes. The Bombette loading zone is very small, and the regular loading zone that takes you between rooms is actually basically the entire out of bounds area other than the Bombette loading zone. So it's very easy to clip into that and just have to keep redoing clips to get up there. It's just, it's tedious and annoying and can go wrong. So I do it the slow way. Sorry. I'll lose that 30 seconds. I don't care. Screwed up here and didn't end up on the back seam, which is kind of annoying. So I only did like a half cannonless here. Paper Mario also has cannonless, if you didn't know. The idea there was that I was trying to fall directly onto the back seam of this area that I'm at right now, so that I would be in the background and couldn't be hit by any of these enemies, so that I wouldn't have to run from them. I mean, I lost like 30 seconds from not landing on that seam. It's whatever. I always forget that it's this third most door here. It's actually possible to clip through all of these Bowser blocks and directly into the loading zones behind them. But it's also very possible to clip through them and not hit the loading zone and end up just in the back, like falling out of bounds. This Hammer Bro is a menace. I was... This was really stupid. I was mashing too many buttons there, and I ended up, like... I was trying to mash into... Like, I was set up to mash for running from the fight, and I ended up just, like, mashing all of my buttons into Bombette somehow, and clicking bomb, which... Holy cow, that was stupid. Yeah, that Hammer Bro is a menace. It's also not a... Like, unlike the other fights where, like, the other enemies that I've talked about, where I do the fight and then just don't have to deal with them anymore, that fight takes a long time to actually finish, because you have to also... Like, you have to defeat all the enemies, but the fight doesn't end right away, because the bone pile for the dry bone still counts as an enemy. So you have to bomb it as Bombette. And then you get so much experience from defeating a Dry Bones, as well as all the other enemies, that it's a guaranteed level up. So then you have to watch an entire extra level up as well. So here we get to another really slow part. This is the Bowser quiz door. It never changes. The answers are 1, 1, 2, 1, 1. I don't know what questions are asked. Again, the only question I ever remember is like the last one, which is, how many arms did you see? And it's like a bomb, a Goomba, and a Koopa Troopa. And like, that's it. I will also tell this story that I've told a few other times, which is the first time I played the the Paper Mario randomizer. I got to this room, and I just started mashing because I assumed it hadn't changed, right? Like, why would you change it? But they did. They changed the questions in... They're completely custom in the randomizer. And so when I got to this room and I mashed A through the first question, I didn't even notice that I had gotten the first question wrong. I just assumed I got it right. And then the second question is when I continued mashing and I realized I had gotten the second question wrong. And I was like, oh shit, what is happening? So that was when I actually read the third question, and I realized I had no idea what the answer was, and I had to fight all 3 of the anti-guys, because I didn't notice. Yeah, how many arms do you see here? The answer is 4. I just heard the Alexa device go off in the background in the living room. I'm worried about that. Jeff Bezos is listening in on me recording this playthrough. This is another area where, like, I just played really bad. I will say, as poorly as I played in, like, the actual battle execution is where a lot of my stuff went wrong in this this playthrough, or like hard trick execution. But my other playthrough that I have, like when I was first routing this out and I first really recorded a playthrough of it, when I was streaming it, the thing that went wrong the most there was I got in so many random battles and accidentally clipped out of bounds so many times. Like literally dozens of times I clipped out of bounds on accident, and probably like 20 extra random battles that I didn't need to get in. That was an accidental clip out of bounds right there, in fact. Here is where it's all happening in this playthrough, but luckily, even with all of this, it's still less than what happened in the other playthrough. This Magikarp is really annoying. So I somehow like just didn't input jump there, and I decided screw it, I'm not going for it again. I'm not going for the regular way of doing it. So this is the other way you can get up there. Unfortunately, I didn't realize this. I was stuck on like an invisible out of bounds wall that first fall, so that was actually... It was definitely slower, but the reason I didn't want to go for the bombette method, the proper method of doing that room again, is just because I was almost certain I was going to end up in a fight with the Magikoopa, so it wouldn't have like. And then if you end up in a fight with a Magikoopa, you have to win the fight because you're forced to redo the bombette hitting the switch thing again because it like you lose too much time and you won't be able to make the jump. Anyway, we are finally through with all of the random battles in the game. There are no more random enemies I can run into. There is only Peach. We're done. We've captured Peach. Or we've rescued Peach. But obviously not really. And as I've pointed this out before, it's actually possible to jump on Peach. Like, you can hit Peach multiple different ways. You can hit her with your partners, Bombette or Cooper. You can hammer her, or if you jump from far enough away, or if you're standing right next to her, if you just spin and then jump onto her, you can jump on her as well. That's important to know for me for when I did the any % run of this game, of this ROM hack, because you get to that room with no hammer and no partners. So, yeah, you have to be able to jump on Peach. Speaking of the hammer, even though it's way late, and also, who the hell is this? Speaking of the hammer, one of the other things I should point out is we could have just skipped the hammer. Obviously, I could have just used multi-bounce to defeat any groups of enemies rather than Quake Hammer. And we don't use the hammer for anything. The only time I use the hammer was to break the block in Goomba Village, and that can be skipped. In fact, I usually skip it. It's just that if you don't get the clip through the gate on your first try, it's slower than just breaking the block. So I just didn't even bother this time. But yeah, you can just skip the hammer entirely. The reason I get it is because it only takes like 5 seconds to get, and using Quake Hammer is about a half second, I'd say, faster than using multi-bounce on groups of enemies. And you fight enough groups of enemies that it's just worth it to get Quake Hammer. I think just the general guy fight. Oh, by the way, here it is, 25 damage exactly on 2 hits for Hallway Bowser. That's why we have this exact amount of attack. But yeah, just the general guy fight in general. The general guy fight with its 3 uses of Quake Hammer on its own. Like, I feel like that on its own is enough. But, I mean, you have the Koopa Bros, you have all the Monty Moles, the multiple Monty Mole fights when you're in Chapter 6. Like, it's better to get the hammer than not get it. But it is skippable. There's no, like, actual necessary usage of the hammer to, like, advance the game at the very least. It is never absolutely mandatory with how much speed we have. So, yeah, that's just a thing. I could have skipped it, I just didn't. So now I can finally talk about why I have all of the partner badges on. I have I have P up D down on all of the partners, and I have like 5 of them, I think. 4 or 5 of them. Uh, However many I have, I think I actually should have one more though. Especially after what happened with Lackluster. The reason I have them is specifically for Final Bowser, but not for the actual Bowser fight. So in this fight, this is, by the way, check this out. 1, 2, 3 capped. Let's go. But that doesn't matter. I get 2 turns to attack Bowser, so it doesn't actually matter. I'm actually going to get him to 0 HP here. He doesn't die. Kind of lame, but yeah. That's a thing that happens. But anyway, yeah. So he's at 0 HP. The fight still goes on like normal. Starbeam fails. The reason I have the partner badges on is for the next part of the fight, which is the Kammy Koopa fight. For some reason, the partner badges actually affect Twink. He is counted as a partner, I guess. But only in this ROM hack. Because if you have partner badge, well, I guess you don't have partner badges like that in, what am I thinking? Never mind. Ignore me. But yeah, he's counted as a partner. And he's affected by partner badges in this fight. So because I have so many P up D downs, rather than starting the fight at 0 damage like he would normally do in this fight, he actually starts the fight at 4 damage. And I believe Kammy Koopa has 11 HP. If she has 5 HP, or 10 HP, I need to get one more. I need to get one more P up, D down. Because if I do, this fight will end in two turns. But as of right now, the fight ends in 3 turns instead of the like 5 that it would normally take. Because normally how the fight goes is Twink starts the fight, does 0 damage. Then he does 1, then he does 2, then he does 3. And then he does 4? Oh, I guess she does only have 10 HP. Damn. I need another partner badge. I'm going to get that for the next playthrough. I can save a turn on this fight. But, obviously, since we start doing with 4 damage, the fight ends quite a bit faster. And then, obviously, we get the cutscene of all of the Star Spirits and also Twink and also Peach powering up the Starbeam. Because Bowser was at 0 HP when the first phase of the fight ended, he will not unfortunately die instantly when this second phase starts. Instead, what will happen is he will be at 1 HP. And we will finally see an actual necessary use of the partners in battle. Or I guess the second necessary use, because obviously there was the Koopa Brothers in Chapter 1, right? So we will start the fight with Peach Beam. Bowser is at 1 HP. And then the slowest and just most pathetic attack will be what kills Bowser. Bombette takes the KO. Uncharged Body Slam, too. I actually had a thought. It might have been better to swap to Watt before this fight, because Watt's attack is so much faster than that slow body slam that I think you actually, like, you would save just, I mean, it would be frames again. Like, if you save any amount of time, it wouldn't be in seconds. It would be in fractions of seconds. But you would, I do think you would save time switching to Watt and just using her attack. However, there is something to take into account here, and that is because of Watt's lower HP, if Bowser uses his Fire Breath on the turn he gets to attack in phase 1, which hits both Mario and the partner in this, Watt would die, and she would use the life shroom that I have in my inventory, and that would waste time. Also, I need to get that life shroom out of my inventory. The fun thing here is If I get that life stream out of my inventory and Bowser were to do that, like that would actually be optimal without the life stream in my inventory, because Watt would die, but then she would get full healed during the Peach cut, like the Starbeam cutscene, the Starbeam power up. Um, I assume, because Mario gets healed during that. I assume the partner does too. But it would also mean I wouldn't have to use her turn on the second set of turns in the Bowser fight. So, more theoretical stuff. I'm probably going to do that. That. You know what? That's the new strat. I'm just going to do it. I'm going to start doing that. Anyway, it was right around here that I realized, holy shit, I'm going to get a sub 2 on this run, despite how terrible everything went. And things went terrible, mind you. I somehow saved enough time through, like, the chapter 2 card skip and other little optimizations and other random, just doing other things well. I'm gonna get a sub 2 hour run. I was really hype at this point. Unfortunately, there's just a long cutscene between me and this. The Paper Mario speedrunning community in their eternal knowledge has decided that the speedrun does not in fact end when you beat Final Bowser. You have to play through the entire final cutscene, and then there is a small section where after this cutscene, Mario and Luigi jump into the warp pipe and end up in Toad Town, and you gain control of Mario to go through Toad Town to Peach's castle. And because that is a portion of the game where you are still in control of the character, it is something that you play. It has to also be part of the time to run. So the actual end of the speed run is when Peach throws her hands up at the end of her speech in the final cutscene, because at that point there's nothing you were in control of at that point. There's no text boxes. There's nothing. You have zero control of anything in that. You can claim that because the cutscenes require, you pressing a button, or the text boxes require you pressing a button, that's you still playing the game, right? Once Peach throws her hands up at the end of that cutscene, you have nothing left to play. So that is the end of the run. So yeah, this would have been like a 150 if I didn't have to watch this entire cutscene, but unfortunately I do. Shoutouts to the any percent speedrun where I get nothing, no hammer, no partners, no anything, because the game crashes when you right after you finish fighting Final Bowser, so you don't have to watch this cutscene. It doesn't get timed. It can't be. The end of that run is when the game crashes. So I was actually extremely hype about that because it just meant I didn't have to watch this cutscene when I did that run. I hate this cutscene. It takes so long. Like, one of the cool things that this ROM hack added was auto text. You can see that fast forward in the bottom of the corner there. It automatically mashes through the text, and it plays the text like 3 times faster than it would actually play in the normal game, right? This cutscene takes like 10 minutes in the normal game. I'm not even joking. Like, we've already been on this cutscene for like 4.5 minutes. It's basically twice as long in the base game, just because the amount of text that exists in the Cooper part, unfortunately, is very, very long. Anyway, last trick of the entire run: if you hold down while Mario's entering the pipe during this cutscene, he enters it earlier for some reason than he normally would, and you get to skip the part where Luigi comes to the party. Get fucked, Luigi. It's actually important to do that. Luigi has a text box normally when you enter Toad Town with him. And here it is, the final cutscene. I was really hype. Come on, sub 2. And then I actually forgot to hit the split button there. So this should actually be like a 158.55, but we got it. We got the sub 2 hour. Let's go. So that's the entire run. As I have before, I'm gonna let the credits play out entirely. I'm obviously very pro credits, as you may have seen from other videos. Um, this is really fun to me, if I'm being honest. Playing this stupid speedrun has been one of the most enjoyable things I've done with this game, with Paper Mario as a whole. It's right up there with I've really enjoyed playing the randomizer. I need to get back into that as well, but I want to find someone else to play that with. Having Mace pick up this speed run has been really cool. Watching him learn it all, helping him get through it. I'm excited to have someone else running it. I'd love to have more people. If you're watching this and you've enjoyed this, please join my Discord. Come tell me. Come play with me. Pick it up. Race me in it. I don't care. Lose, win. I don't care. I just want to do it more. It's fun. I don't think I'll probably go back to the any% anytime soon. I might make a video on it, but it's not nearly as fun. Not nearly as fun and not nearly as interesting to watch as this any% run, where there's so many weird things and like you obviously you get to see the entire game, but with the quote unquote any% run, it's literally just like one trick and that's it. Um, it's a very hard and very interesting trick, mind you, but it's not a particularly interesting run beyond that, I feel like. But no, I've enjoyed this a lot. If you made it this far, thank you so much for watching this entire video. It's 2 hours long. Holy cow, what is wrong with you? I'm gonna go ahead and let the rest of the credits play out here, and that'll be it. But again, if you've watched this whole thing, if you've enjoyed it, like and subscribe. I don't know. I'm not used to saying that. But anyway, thanks for watching, guys. This has been Pink Reaper signing out.